tell me what I'm hearing.
I'm going to sing und Reu, before, lieber Hailand, und du, from Matthaeuspassion,
Great.
do you want me to skip the capo one time?
Depends what you do in the da capo.
There's not much to do with Bach.
There's not much to do with Bach.
I mean, you know, maybe to go and maybe to...
Okay. You sing, and I'll stop you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm often interested in hearing what happens in the da capo, but
Okay.
Masterclass is like an opera in and of itself. It even has, we talk about libretti for passions and for cantatas and everything. They all have their own dramatic shape. And within each piece, Bach gives a dramatic shape to even recitatives and to arias. And so we have all of these beautiful moments. So let's talk about how we take those beautiful moments and shape them based on what's happening and based on what's being sung. What's the first part mean? You don't have to give me word by word, but just a rough translation or a rough understanding.
Well, the speaker talks to Jesus,
Yeah.
lieber Hailand, the Messiah, recalls this moment where his foolish disciples chastated this holy woman for pouring oil on him.
Right.
And he wishes his tears could wash Jesus the same way.
Okay. Tears. These are very important images that are in this text. There's the images of the tears, which especially are important in the aria, and the one about and the very opening, Du lieber Hailand, du, you beloved Savior. So this is a very interesting moment because it's a recitative, but it's accompagnato with flutes for the original. And we have a very wonderful stand-in with the piano. But if it were flutes, just imagine them as flutes. You could both imagine them as flutes, and as though it were a chamber work for flutes and voice. And think of it as this kind of winding. It's almost like a winding love song in a way, because the story about the woman washing the feet of Jesus with the tears it's almost very sensual. It's like kind of shir hashirim kind of sensuality, right? And in fact, there's a tradition that connects those. But that's okay. We're not going to go to the theological, even though the rhetoric of it is going to be very important. So let's take it from the beginning of the recitative.
So you want me to be a little more, not sensual, but more...
You can be sensual. You should be in a sense that this moves the emotions. And the listeners in Bach's time, as they were in any other time, were wanting to be moved. Yes, there were moments where people were more, square and said, "Oh my God, what's happening in the church?" Well, you know what? When they were inside of them, they were in the church listening to this, and if they were moved to tears or to something else, then they liked what was happening. It was only the police up at the top that were definitely not early music police. They were more like religion police, and that's a different kind of feeling. What you're going to do is deliver a beautiful song about loving someone who you care about, who's going to die. And that's very, very, that's like right there. Yeah?
Yes. Okay.
But with care. Because I want to ask, why do you select the tempo that you take? There's no wrong answer.
We could go faster.
Or faster, slower, but probably a little bit faster for the sake of one thing, for the sake of a line that is a bit more continuous, that will help this become more sensuous, but also more connected. Very important, because there are different rhetoric tools that are for disassociating words from one another for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you say, du, lieber Hailand, du, that's like, oh my God. Okay, you love me, that's fine. But no, this one is, du, lieber Hailand, du.
Oh yeah.
That's what you need to go on. Yeah.
Okay.
I got chills during This is what happens when we think sometimes that maybe it's a question of making it more, we have to have the attention to one element or another, but really a lot of the secret lies in what the instrument itself can do with text and vocalism combined. And this is a perfect example of it. We have different types of vocalism. Some are heroic ones, like Ifi's aria that she just sang, and are about vengeance. This one is about love. They all have an emotion behind them that is undoubtable, but it's just of different orders of magnitude. Let's take this and put this into the aria. I know there was a little one moment. Was there a moment that you could have wanted a little more breath?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you know what you missed your breath that you intended to take?
Yes.
Okay. You can try it again if you want.
Sure.
Just but maybe from. Is there a point right before that would work?
Like
context.
aria, you
Hmm?
mean? To start with the aria, or to do it again?
No, it was at the end of the rest. But if
No,
you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Let's continue the aria.
I feel there's continuous. Oh, it's dancing.
It's a dance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. This is something that the interaction between you and it would usually be an orchestra, but at the same time, when you're working with any chamber musician, they're your duo partner, like a dancer. So you have to dance together. Not literally, you know that. You know what I mean.
Yes.
You want to dance. How do you dance when it's a line that goes in counterpoint at times? You have to find your internal dance, and above that, at moments the legato is going above it. At other moments you have segments that interject. So let's just do, there's the middle of this section. Okay, so this is a very good image when you have a dance that turns for teshuvah, because you're turning back, right? Return. It's like Eicha almost, kind of. But in this case, what you're doing is bringing back this line. And why do you repeat these words? Why would Bach repeat these words?
There is the functional. It should kind of awaken this wanting to return and redeem yourself and repent.
Like the nigun.
Yeah, like the nigun. Okay. How so?
That when you repeat and you repeat.
Ah.
And you repeat.
Okay. That's right. Even if we don't know the words, we still know the melody.
I want to
right?
awaken something in the hearts of the listener.
Okay, so it's like there is a device in rhetoric, which is the device of the repetitio, where you have to repeat something, but you do it in a certain way. You can do it identically, and it works one way, and you can increase, or you can decrease, and it calls attention different ways. So remember that variety. you can do that. Do exactly with this same section that you did, and try to bring in a reason for the repetitions. I'll let you decide what your reasons are.
Okay.
This is where it becomes very personal, but it's a personal song. Yeah.
The same place, right?
Same last place. Passages like that can be they're killers for a lot of us. I count myself amongst, because there's a tendency that we will drop intervals further and further, you know? And so keep that floating. Just do that one more time and pay attention to the way it descends. It's a triadic descent part. Yeah, that part.
Okay, so straight. It was much more vivid. And sometimes what we do in one place, it's like a snowball. I know we don't get a lot of snowballs. Maybe in Jerusalem it snows more than in other parts of Israel, but it's like a snowball that rolls down a hill. It gets bigger and bigger. So it is with both the problems we face as singers. They can, if you set it up not so great, it'll get worse further. If you set it up wonderfully before, it communicates into the next part. And so you did that, and you communicated that feeling, that emotion through the B section, kind of almost, you transferred the experience. So, well done. Thank you.